Hey everybody, welcome to Striking Balance 2022, the kickoff for the hackathon partnered by Weavy and Wijmo. So this live stream will be all about getting to know the people behind the hackathon, how we have planned the hackathon, and what we see in the future of this hackathon. The theme of the hackathon is Striking Balance 2022, which comes from balancing different parts of data sets together with both Vishmo's powerful visualization tools and Weavy's collaboration tools. We aim to present you with a range of different problems in forms of data sets, which you then can combine, visualize them, and find a way to collaborate on them. I'm Chris Lettle. I'm the community manager at Weavy. My passion for this comes for connecting people, seeing what hackathons do in the form of product growth, and also creating developer rockstar. With that, I would like to introduce our first member, Chris Bannon from Grave City. Would you like to tell us something about yourself, Chris?
Hey, yeah. So I am the global product manager at Grape City for a product called Wijmo. We'll tell you more about that later. I first created it about 12, almost 13 years ago. So it's quite mature product, but it's also cutting edge. So it's a fun product to work on. But I would say my real passion is fishing. So when I'm not forced to sit at the computer, I'm in the water.
Nice. So we're at, is it saltwater or freshwater fishing?
Freshwater, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm in a landlocked state.
Nice. So the biggest fish ever caught is how big?
A muskie, so it's probably about 4.5 feet long.
Nice.
Quite big.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Chris. Dave from Weavy. Hi, Dave. How are you doing today?
Hey, Chris. Doing well. Happy to be here, be part of the hackathon. I'm the director of onboarding over here at Weavy, and on a personal note, live streams do make me a bit nervous because I spend a lot of time with my dog and he's very needy, so he might come into the picture during this stream and pop up. So don't be alarmed. He's very friendly, and he'll probably lick my face.
That's right. We just had Joanna's cat run through the scene. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but animals are right. All right, nice to have you here, Dave. Joel Parks from Grape City. How are you doing today?
Good. My name is Joel Parks. I'm the junior product manager at Wijmo. I've been with the product since I believe 2018, so coming up on 4 to 5 years now. I've participated in a lot of these hackathons and code fests in the past, so it's a real excitement getting to actually be able to be a part of one and help run one.
Cool, glad you're here. So is it very different arranging one from participating in one?
Yeah, it's a lot different. I don't have to worry about getting my team together. The team's already all been assembled prior to us coming on, so it's a nice relief not having to find people to work with on a specific project that you're interested in.
True that. Cool. And last but not least, the new developer advocate of Weavy, Joanna. Hello, Joanna. How are you doing today?
Hello, everyone. So as Chris said, I'm the new technology advocate at Weavy. I've already spoken to several of you in the community forums, and I really look forward to seeing your projects come to life further down the line. Myself, I'm a game developer at heart, so I've worked with a lot of AI and code efficiency. So I hope to see some of that in the projects coming up.
Nice. Game development, huh? So, favorite game?
Right now it's Fallout 4.
Nice. Bethesda.
Yeah. Best
Cool.
game company.
Cool. All right, welcome everybody. Glad to have you on board. both on the team and on this live stream. All right, so this hackathon, as you know, is called Striking Balance 2022. And we picked that name because we want to find balance, or more so, we want to create balance. How do we create balance? Well, the whole idea of this hackathon is for Wijmo and Weavy to provide their tools together with data sets. Now you can bring your own data sets. It doesn't necessarily need to be our picked data sets, but we do have a quite massive list of data sets prepared for you if you want to go and pick from that list. What we want you to do is to combine at least two of these data sets into one or more. You can combine an infinitive number of data sets, but the data sets has to be about a specific problem. It can be about company CSR work. It could be about landslide progress, which I think is one of the data sets. It can also be about education level or to have access to clean water and how that relates to education levels. You can also tweak your build as much as you want. Just start with an ID, focus this ID down, submit that ID, but then we go to prototype phase. And this is where you can tweak our products. You can find usage that we have not been thinking about regarding our products. I can give you a non-leading example. If you're really cheeky, maybe you can implement cognitive search somehow or other cognitive abilities on top of our tools. There is no limitation, sky is the limit. You just need to do exactly what you think will make an impact in visualizing and collaborating on the data sets. And Joel Parks, why is it important to visualize critical data to make users aware of different situations in form of data?
Well, when you're trying to solve a problem, especially if it's a large problem, you want to be able to paint a complete picture of the issue that you're trying to tackle. So multiple data sets, not one singular data set will present you with the data to solve a problem. I know that Joanna had mentioned previously that she had done some work with like AI, and in the past I've done some machine learning programming. And when you're doing stuff like that, you want to make sure that you have a large enough data set to train the AI model so that it can accurately analyze the data. Too small of a data set and you won't get accurate readings. The same kind of applies here with what we're trying to do. If you have too small of a data set, your scope might be a little bit too small for the problem that you're trying to solve, and you may miss the mark. So by combining multiple data sets, it allows you to paint a more complete picture of the problem that you're trying to tackle.
I'm going to use a Swedish expression and say damn right. I don't know if that's Swedish, but spot on description. So this hackathon is all about, utilizing the tools we give you in order to make an impact. So what that impact is, it's up for you to decide, but at least it needs to visualize and collaborate on your findings.
Now, Chris, participants will be able to get help throughout the whole process from the Wijmo and the Weavy teams, both on our products and on people's ideas and prototypes too, right?
Absolutely, Chris. There are multiple ways of reaching out to us and interact with us. We have these Q&As, which is a prolonging of the kickoff we're running today. That means that you will be able to chat directly with us during future Q&A sessions. We will help you with your ID submission. We will help you with your prototyping, your builds, etc. There is also the possibility to come into our community forum where all of us are gathered, and we will address you and actually use HiveMind among other participants in order to try to solve your problems as fast as possible. Of course, you can always tweet us, you can reach out via email, etc. So there is all the possibilities to have full support from both Wijmo and Weavy regarding this. All right. So let's turn it around. What's in it for you? Why should you participate? And I think the best suitable person to ask that is the person who actually collected and combined the prices. So, Joanna, would you like to tell us a bit about how the pricing works?
Yeah, so I'm super excited about the prize system we've got going. You can win anything from drones to smartphones to VR headsets or Xboxes. And the higher you score, the higher your placement is in the end, the better prizes you can choose from. Also, of course, each member of a team will receive one prize each, meaning that if you are 4 team members in one team, you will each get one Xbox or one VR headset, which I think is just amazing. I wish I could compete myself.
So you're telling me I can get 4 drones?
Yeah.
How many are we here? We're 5. So maybe we just skip it and we just participate instead. Because I've seen the drones and they're kind of nice, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Joanna. So we got really good prices going on. It's not only hardware. There is also some software. There is also virtual events, tickets, and also education. And you can pick freely between the ranges. Of course, you cannot pick a tier up, but you can pick and combine from lower tiers based on your placement. And I have to tell you, we have a lot of placements you can win. It's not only first, second, third. We also have badge of honor. We have best innovation, etc., etc., etc. There's loads of prizes going out, and we would love to hand out as many as possible. All right, talking in terms of builds and technology, and again back to impact/awareness, visualization, and collaboration. Chris Bannon, do you have any thoughts about what kind of builds you expect to see?
Yeah, definitely. So what I really like about Weavy and Wijmo partnering on this is that each tool is really complementary to the other, and balances each other out. So we have some tools in Wijmo that are really geared towards data analysis and working with large data sets. So specifically our data grid, our pivot grid, which is even more interesting for slicing and dicing, aggregating data to find, more meaningful numbers from a very large data set. So I expect to see some things like that. Certainly the data visualization, like the charts, gauges, and then, combining that with Weavy's collaboration. So basically enabling participants or users of these apps to actually pinpoint really interesting things within the data. Really, just a really cool combination of products to build something powerful or interesting. So I think we'll see some cool stuff.
I 100% agree. I think we will see some really cool stuff in this hackathon. All right, thank you very much, Chris. So let's stay on with Chris for a while, because Chris, I might be sitting here as a developer. I might be new to Wijmo. I might be new to Weavy, or I might be new to putting them into this context that we're doing currently. So why Wijmo? What's good about Wijmo? Why should I implement it?
So, first, what is Wijmo? We've already mentioned it a few times. I'm sure you've already somewhat guessed what it is. It's a set of JavaScript user interface components. Really, we specialize in the very complicated components, things that deal with a lot of data, a lot of rendering, things that would normally be very tedious for a developer to write on their own. And maintain in all the different browsers. So that's what we do. We spend all of our time doing that. So things like the data grids, charts, analytic tools, we offer those. We maintain those and support those. And then that allows our customers to be able to take something that's ready to use, not waste any time on building their own, and start focusing on like the business logic, solving the problem. So really, at the end of the day, we're just saving developers time. That's it. It's very simple. And honestly, we are doing a lot of that tedious work that most developers should not be spending their time on. To make things easier, we also provide support for all the JavaScript frameworks. So you can use Angular, you can use React, you can use Vue, you can use just pure JavaScript if you prefer. It doesn't matter. Wijmo works in every one of the frameworks. So choose whatever you want. We'll support it, and really, we will save you time. So we're hoping you'll be able to use the tool to really build some of these projects very quickly.
Very nice. And I can add in, I've read, I'm going to admit, I haven't read all your documentation, but I read a big chunk of your documentation, and it is very, very spot on. So,
thank you.
If you get stuck in documentation, don't think you will. We are here to help you out, basically. All right,
Absolutely.
thank you very much, Chris. Joanna, so if I'm going to ask you the exact same thing, will that be boring or will it be valid?
Well, it's going to sound very similar to what Chris said.
All right.
Weavy and Wijmo are very similar in many aspects. The difference is that Weavy focuses on collaboration, or with things like in-app chat, document collaboration, activity feeds, and such things. It's easy to customize, but it's straightforward to implement. As with Wijmo, all the tedious groundwork has already been done for you. And a reason that you would like to add collaboration to your app is to increase engagement, and maybe even more importantly, in-app retention. Instead of users having to switch from one app to the other in order to do their work, they can just stay in your app, which adds tremendous value to your project or your service. For the hackathon, all the participants will receive a license, meaning that they can use Weavy for free. And I really hope, as Chris mentioned earlier, that you can build something very quickly and easily, but still with all the customization options that you would like as a developer. And I really look forward to seeing what you can come up with using Weavy together with Wijmo.
Cool. Sounds, well, I've seen them before, but I'm still excited. I would like to participate in this hackathon, but that's a no-go. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Chris. So how do you get access to it? Joanna, Chris, is it within the repos we are providing, or where do you actually find and get started with the licenses?
So Wijmo is available on NPM. That's probably the most popular way to use it. You can install, in VS Code or any other terminal you're using. And we also have some example starter projects, and I think we'll get into those to show you. Of course, you're welcome to fork those and start with those. That's probably the easiest thing to do, but I'm sure you'll have much grander ideas than what you see in there.
All right, cool. Joanna, where do we get the Weavy license from?
The easiest way is to go to Weavy's webpage and sign up. But we will also be helping you out in the community forums if you need help getting extra access.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. Joel, I think it's your time to shine. Do you have anything to show us on how to get started with Wijmo in this hackathon?
Yes, I've got an application here that it's a Node.js application using both Wijmo and Weavy. And I'm going to be going over the Wijmo portion of it to show everyone how you can use Wijmo within the application, how to initialize it, how to install it, etc.
Nice. Let's do it. we will start preparing. We will be back very, very shortly.
Before I jump into going over the code for this project, I just wanted to let everyone know that this project is available for download on GitHub. We also have it on Glitch, where you can go and fork the application and modify it via Glitch. Those links will be made available to all of our participants. But this is the basic setup of the application. All we're doing here is we're showing a Wijmo Flex Grid, we're showing a Wijmo Flex Chart, and then we're showing a Weavy message control. So we'll hop over to the code here. Now the Wijmo code is all inside of the wijmo.js file inside of the front end folder. To actually install Wijmo, you're going to want to run npm install @grapecity/wijmo.all. Now that'll install all of the required Wijmo packages and modules. And then from there, we need to go ahead and import the modules that we're going to be using here. So the first thing that we want to import is the CSS file. This is @grapecity/wijmo.styles/wijmo.css. This will style all of our controls properly. That way they'll appear correctly on the screen. We have Wijmo's core module here, which is just @grapecity/wijmo. We're importing the input module here because we're going to be using a filter, and the filter makes use of our input module. And finally, we're importing 3 classes directly here. We're importing the FlexGrid class, the FlexGrid filter class, and the FlexChart class. So now, once all of these are imported, the first thing that we're going to actually need to do is set our license key so that Wijmo will be licensed to running this application. If you don't set a license key, you'll see a little watermark in one of the corners of your screen that just says powered by Wijmo. So for the purposes of this, we're setting a license key just so that's not showing on screen. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to retrieve the data that we wish to show inside of our controls. This is just done inside of our getData function. And we're just making an XML HTTP request to this URL here to retrieve some data. You can see here, we're just retrieving a simple list of data. Each object has an ID, a country name, a sales value, and an expenses value. And that's what's going to be used to populate our controls here. Next, we actually need to create our controls themselves. So as you can see here, we're creating a variable called FlexGrid, and we're assigning that to a new FlexGrid. We're doing the same with FlexChart down here. And as you can see, we're passing in this string here. There's #thegrid and then #thechart. Now, the way that FlexChart knows how to, or FlexGrid and FlexChart know how to place the controls within the DOM is that these are actually the ID of elements on the screen. So if we hop over to control.html, you can see here inside of our grid layout, we've got the Wijmo Flex Grid, which is just a div with an ID, the grid, and then another div here with an ID of the chart. So these are going to be the 2 elements that actually get manipulated by Wijmo in the DOM to display the Wijmo controls. Now for FlexGrid here, we are setting our columns here. So we need to define which columns we want to display based on the bindings of the objects that we're passing in as our item source. So we've got country, sales, and expenses. These are the 3 columns that we want to display. We're going to drop that ID column. We are defining the headers here. So these are what are going to be displayed in the column headers, the value displayed there. Each of these also has a width property. Now, the way that width works in Wijmo is there are 2 different ways that you can define width. You can define it via pixels, and then you can define it via our star size and category. So for example, if you just put a single star in as the width property, what it'll do is it will take that grid or that column in the grid and it will expand it to fill the remaining width of the column. So for example, if you have 3 columns and you apply star sizing to all 3 of the columns, each one will take up the exact same amount of space within the grid control. The other thing you can do is you can actually set integers in front of the star to let the application know, hey, we've got 3 columns here. They all have star sizing, but one of them has 2 star sizing, which means that that one's going to take up twice the space as the other ones. And then finally, we have a format property that we're assigning here. For these 2 columns, we want to show a currency value, and we want to show it to the 2 decimal place. So we're setting it to C for currency, and then that's followed by a 2 just to let the control know we want it to display to the 2 decimal places. The last 2 things we're defining for FlexGrid is we have a selection mode here, which just says when a user clicks on the grid, how do we want them to select elements in the grid. In this case, it'll select entire rows at a time. And then we are setting our item source to data, which is where we are holding the data from our XML HTTP request. Now for FlexChart, similar in how we're setting up FlexGrid, we're passing it the ID of the div that we want this control attached to. We're setting a header for the grid. For this one, it's just going to be sales and expenses by country. We've got the legend, which we want to display on the bottom of the control. So we're going to set that to position bottom. We are setting the binding X to country. Now what the binding X is, it's just what we want to bind to the X axis of our chart. And this will be a property on the objects in the list of items that we have. So we're selecting country here. And then we are binding 2 different series to this control. Now the series are just going to be the data that's actually displayed in the chart. And this is similar to how we bound columns in FlexGrid. So we're setting it's an array of objects where we set both a binding and a name. The binding is the property value that we're binding to, and then the name is what we want to display the series as. So we're binding the property sales, and we're naming that series sales, and then same with expenses. Here we're also setting a palette of 2 colors. So you can either let the grid the chart use its default color palette, or you can assign a custom color palette to fit the style of your application. So here I'm just setting 2 colors to the palette. One's a more of a blue, and the other one is kind of a green color. And then we are setting the item source once again to data. Then the last thing we're doing here, we're also adding a filter. Like I said, we needed to import the input module to use the FlexGrid filter early on when I was going over the beginning of this file. And then all we do for that is we set it to a new FlexGrid filter. So we're creating a new FlexGrid filter here. And all we need to do is pass the FlexGrid variable. So as you can see here, we're taking this FlexGrid variable and we're passing it into the FlexGrid filter. And what this will do is we'll create a filter on that control that you can open up. So we'll hop back over. As you can see here, these are the colors that we selected for the palette. So we've got this blue here, and then we've got this green. Both of these are using the same data source, which is why you'll see matching data. So if you hover over US sales here, you can see it's 25, 26, same as sales up here. And then the filter that we implemented, you can click on this little filter icon here. It'll open up a filter where you can select filter by condition or filter by value. Currently, we're on filter by value. So say we want to only display, we'll select France, Germany, and Italy. We can click apply here. And as you can see, it'll filter down to any values in the chart that have matching country. And that's it for implementing Wijmo in this application.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Joel, for showing us that. Seems fairly straightforward, to be honest. Uh, all right. So that was Wijmo. Dave,
Hi,
how are you feeling?
feeling good.
Right. Do you want to shine a bit?
Yeah, I feel like I could, put some gloss coating on and get a little sparkle going.
All right. All right.
Maybe become
Well,
a vampire, Twilight style.
all right. Well, I'm gonna hand it over to you, and just as we did with Joel, we gonna set up things in the back. So we will be right back with you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, let's dive into getting Weavy integrated into the app. We're going to be covering the example that we're going to be sharing in the repo and where we've placed Weavy in the example that was just gone over with Wijmo and Weavy here. So you'll see that we have the chat to the side so folks can have conversations around this data, and you will see that it is a fully functional chat. You have the ability to get reactions and see full screen previews of any type of files that are sent through for most types of files, and you can even spin up Zoom meetings and attach files from various integrations like Google Drive, uh, OneDrive, and Box, things like that. So really cool to add in real quick and very easy to add in. So we'll be covering that. Now, since the chat backend is hosted by Weavy, the first thing you can do is go to our website to sign up here, and the in-app chat is actually completely free. So beyond this hackathon, you can use it for any projects that you would like. Now, you can sign up for free here. I've already signed up, so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Now, we have our account page. Now, the first portion that you're going to walk through is actually the deployment of your back end. So just you'll be seeing a screen like this and just follow the prompts here. If you have any questions, you can ask us. We're happy to help. So click on next. The backend will start being deployed. You'll see a progress bar. Mine's already done. And then here, the quick start is just one of the ways where you can and how you can implement Weavy into a project. Now, we also have on the account page a handy links to our more detailed documentation for not only styling, but for adding users and for our other plans and pricing for other features we have. Let's take a dive into the Weavy docs. Now, if we take a look at Weavy, there's a lot of functionality happening in this messenger, but really there's very little code that needs to happen. The first thing that you need to do is install the NPM package and then install our themes as well. And then simply import those and then call a new instance of Weavy. Here's where you put in the URL to the backend that you will get once you deploy it, and then you're passing the user's token. This is the token of the user that is being logged in or is logged in already, and then essentially you're initializing the app, the messenger. That you're going to be using after you've initialized the instance of Weavy and authorized the user. You then have the ID, the identifier of the app, the unique identifier for that app, the type of app, which for this one it's going to be Messenger, and then the container. The container is where it is placed. So there's a complete example listed here below, but let's dive into the code that we are providing here. So right within this Wijmo Weavy Hackathon project, the first thing we would have done, but is already done, is install those node modules. So if you remember, we just had the theme to install and then the drop-in UI as well, which are here already. Now, the next portion that we need to do is we need to get a container for Weavy. So where are we going to place this messenger, right? Now, we've placed it on the controls in the controls HTML, and we've placed it to the right here, and you can see that container here. Now, it's simply just a div with a unique identifier in it. So this ID. So we have the messenger. It's important to remember that, as that's what we'll be using to tell Weavy where to place the messenger when it's initialized. So first two steps out of the way. So if we take a look at going through those steps, right, we've installed this. I've already kind of gone ahead and done a container for it. So we need to initialize Weavy now. So within the controls, the messenger JS in the front end is where we initialize this. So we've imported Weavy, like it says in the instructions, and then we have our Weavy initialized right here, and we also have our app initialized. Now, this container here is, you can see the messenger just like it is that already exists in the controls HTML. So that's going to tell it exactly where to go. The only other portion here that is going to be different than the examples provided, which already contain some JWTs, or just says place your JWT here, is this function that returns a JWT. So that's what's used to authenticate the user and log them into Weavy. So we can take a look at how we need to format that JWT. So we need to create a JWT that has a few required claims, being the issuer, the sub, and expiration time. So those are mandatory. An issuer being the ID that's uniquely identifying your application, which is actually going to match your identity provider as well. The sub is the unique identifier for the user, usually user ID, and then expiration time is just when it expires. There are other options you can pass in, other claims where you have email address, family name, photos, even pictures, and then directories. And directories are kind of like a directory of users. So if a user is in one directory, they can talk to all those folks in that one directory. And if a user is in directory 2, they can only talk to those users in directory 2. So that's how you can kind of separate users for different use cases. Now, let's take a look at our functionality here. We've if we take a look at the way we're looking at this example here, we have some more code where we're putting this token in, right? We are returning this from a promise, so we are fetching that from the back end. So simply passing in that token factory function there, so it can refresh and run this function again to grab a new token if necessary. So I recommend you do it this way for sure. And then let's take a look at that backend and see what that route looks like for the claims and everything like that for the JWT token. So here we're using the NJWT module to make the JWT token. So you could probably find more documentation on that if you need more by looking that up. And here are the users that we have made for this demo. If you go to the demo like it was shown before, you're able to log in and log out as these folks here. So, and based on that, it returns that specific token. So we'll see a different set of conversations, and now we can see, this individual has an unread message, right? And we didn't have that before. So we're passing in the name, the email, the username, and the photo in this case. So right here, we have uh, a way of uh, having this data already here, but of course you're going to be using the current user that is logged in. So here's where we are providing a few key pieces of information here, which is going to be the issuer. So within your Weavy account, you're going to be using, of course, your backend URL for the URL as the property, and then you're going to be using your identity providers and secrets for the token. So this is where you can set those and use your backend and not the Hackathon backend. So you're able to edit the configuration, add additional identity providers, or edit the ones that are already in there, and then toggle the values to see what secret to use. Now, we're using the secret that is been used by the Weavy Wijmo Hackathon backend, and we're putting them in the directory of Hackathon with username, picture, everything like that. And we're then just creating that JWT with those claims and signing it with the secret. So this would be different in my case, right? For my URL. So we're going to do that in a moment. Just want to walk you through that here. So we're good there. We have the token. We get that. We can return that token, and then that gets passed into Weavy. So once that happens, that's all you really need to do. Everything is set up for Weavy, and we have it fully live and ready to go. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. Email is dave@weavy.com. And with that, I'll take it back to Chris.
All right, so that is pretty much how you get started. And again, we are here to help you, support you. Community forum, you have access to our documentation. You can reach out to us anytime. We also have chats on our web pages just to reach out if there's anything that is not clear. And of course, there are Q&A live streams coming up. And I want to show you something before we end the stream. So bear with me a second. I'm going to do this unplanned and ad hoc. We need to talk about how to join the hackathon. It's very, very straightforward. You surf to weavy.com/hackathon, or you use any of our social media links, and this will take you to the platform where the hackathon is actually happening. All you need to do is you need to press sign up, fill out a register form to create yourself an account in this hackathon platform. Then you go and invite your team. Your team will get confirmation mail sent out. All right. Then you go and invite your team. Your team members will be automatically invited. Once your team is registered and ready to go, you are part of the already started and ongoing Ideathon phase. And you can submit your IDs on the go. You can only submit one ID per team. Also, what's good to know is that within this platform, you will find all the resources you need. You will have data sets, you will have explanations, you will see sessions history to be able to access this session again, for example. You will have a knowledge base. You can sneak peek at the prices and get motivated. You will also have a link to the community. You will have the Wijmo and the Weavy docs, of course, the rules, and somewhere in the end of summer, there will be a winner section. What I should also mention is that every single participant who submits an ID or prototype will be issued a certificate from Weavy and Wijmo as a proof of your participation. All right, all we had for today. We hope that we have walked you through the technical details of getting both Wijmo and Weavy set up and also merged together in order to function in this hackathon. We have shown you where to register, sign up, and where to find more information regarding the hackathon. You simply go to weavy.com/hackathon, or you follow one of our social media links to get you there. And if you get stuck, if you need any kind of help, anything, we are here. Both Wijmo and Weavy teams, we are here to help you. You can reach out in our next Q&A. You can reach out in our community forum. You can, of course, send us a chat message, an email, or reach out over any of the social media channels we're active in. So with that said, I would like to thank Joanna, Dave, Chris, and Joel very much for participating today. And I would absolutely like to thank you for watching this and hope we added some value to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.